mates, and welcome to the first day of North Carolina. Today, mates, we're going to go into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That's right, mates, the NASCAR Hall of Fame, which is very exciting today. So, I'll meet you mates inside. Once we get dressed, of course. So I'll meet you mates inside of it then. Oh, yeah.
So this one has no power steering, power brakes. It does have a roll bar in it, but aluminum, not very safe. Richard Petty tells stories in the early days when he started racing in '59 that there was a piece of rope tied behind his seat around his waist this way, and that was pretty much the safety equipment that he had on. So let's continue this way, and right behind you, that is a statue of Mr. Bill France Sr. that started the sport right here, and he was actually a driver in the early days in the 30s, and what really was happening in some of these tracks, they were racing, let's say a Saturday afternoon, and they sold several thousand tickets and said the winner would get this purse. And there were crooked promoters that would get the race going, take all the ticket money, all of the prize money, and before the race is half over, they're 50 miles away and they were never to be seen. And so Mr. France said we need to fix that. So in about 1948 down in Daytona Beach, he had a meeting in a hotel, which has incidentally been restored, and that's when NASCAR started. So you got 75 years in. There is Raymond Parks that I mentioned. That's the way he looked at the track. I can't imagine what his suit looked like going home. Any of you ever been around a dirt track in the South with the red clay dry and it blowing everywhere? You wouldn't have looked. And then right over here is Red Boat, the one that ran the garage. They said the garage in Atlanta was clean enough that you could eat off the floor, and every time he came to the racetrack, he had white pants and white shirt on, as clean as he could be. But my favorite story, one of my favorite ones in all of NASCAR history, is Red Byron. Anybody know about Red? Red is the first Cup champion in 1948. He's the first modified champion in 1949. Red was racing in the 30s. World War II came along. He joined the U.S. Army, was flying in a bomber. A bomb dislodged, rolled over, and exploded in the plane. His left foot and left leg was severely damaged. He got out of the war mid-1940s and said, I'm going back racing. So they built something, an apparatus they made homemade, fixed it to his shin and his foot, and it would fasten to the clutch in a race car, and he was able to use the clutch with the injured foot. And there he is, the first two of the top divisions in NASCAR. He's the first champion. So, great story, I think, about him. Let's go in the wheeling room right here. This is one of my favorite places in here. Wheeling does things in America like the lights on top of police cars and fire trucks for safety. One of my son-in-laws is a battalion fire chief, so I always bring that up. And then they also do the safety lights at the racetrack. The caution lights around the track or on top of the car, the pace car. And so that's something that they do. Then they also do something called the Wheeling Everyday Champion. And what they do is pick one that has done some extra special service through the years. And they award them something each year. So as we go down right behind you guys, this is NASCAR racing, not in America. Now, when I think of Formula One racing, I always think about in Brazil. That's what I would think about. But they have run stock cars there for 2 years. So we'll see how that goes in the years to come. And then right here, this is racing in Europe. So the last couple of champions would be from Italy. There's an Israeli. There's someone from the Netherlands. I was in Amsterdam last November, so you can see each year. So it started in 2012, so about 12 seasons. So NASCAR's growing there. And then right over here is NASCAR racing in Mexico. Not this weekend, but I believe it's the next weekend. I was looking at the schedule at lunch down in our break room. The Cup cars and the Xfinity cars will be in Mexico City. They took one race away from Richmond and gave them only one race so that they could have a race in Mexico City. And then right down here, I have a lot of folks from Canada on my tour. And if you look here, the last couple of champions are one's from Quebec, from Ontario, from Quebec. But LP Dumoulin right here, that is the last car that we will see on the tour. And he is a French Canadian. The Canadian Racing Series for NASCAR in Canada is called the Pinty's Series. I have a bunch of Canadians on my tour. They've all told me the same thing, so I feel confident I'm telling you the right thing. Pinty's is a chicken distributor in Canada for restaurants and for grocery stores. So that is the main sponsor there. So if we slide on down, if you want to walk back in there, you'll see all the way down, the first trophy all the way to your left is Mike Skinner. That's the first championship trophy for truck racing. The second one, the Budweiser Trophy, is the Ironman Jack Ingram from Asheville, North Carolina, someone that I watched race many times. And then the last two trophies over here are Raymond Parks and those guys that were on their names on the car over there. You can also look down and you'll see a bunch of different divisions that NASCAR ran. Some lasted a long time, and then some only lasted, you're fine, excuse me, 1 year, 1954. This is a Canadian series. And then here's 74 back in Canada. Here's 53 in Daytona. But we will see a convertible today. Did you know 56, 57, 58, and 59 NASCAR race convertibles? First three champions were his name was Bob Wellborn. He is being considered, he may be voted into the Hall of Fame. They will vote 3 in out of 15 names the week after next year, and you will know then which ones will go in the Hall of Fame of Bob Wellborn. So anyway, as you move on down, but where I want to start you right here is, this is the Cup Series that you see on TV if you watch the Daytona 500. This is where Kyle Busch races and most of the Cup drivers. So I mentioned Red Byron. There he is, first champion, 1949, with the damaged, injured leg. If you move on down, depends on how far back you go into the sport. How many of you know the Cars movie, Lightning McQueen? Okay, Herb Thomas is Doc Hudson. He is the real one. And he won a couple championships at a very young age. You move on down, Lee Petty is Richard's dad. The Flock brothers, Buck Baker and Buddy, father, son in here. Rex White, the 1960 champion. I've been around him a few times. Really super nice guy. But what you'll see on here, someone was a Jimmy Johnson fan, and his name is on here 7 times. There are 3 7-time champions. Jimmy Johnson, you'll see Dale Earnhardt's name on here 7 times. And you'll see Richard Petty's name on here 7 times. Then you will see Jeff Gordon's name on here 4 times. So Kurt Busch, different ones. Kyle Busch, got a Kyle Busch fan in here. So you can see, if you go back and look at all of the different names on here, depending on how far you go back in the sport, you'll recognize a lot of them. Then right over here is what we call Xfinity racing. That's the Saturday racing. At one time when I was young, it was called Late Model Sportsman. Then it was Busch. Then it was Nationwide. Now it's Xfinity. But that's the cars that you will see most of the time racing on Saturday. And Justin Allgaier is last year's champion. First champion up there is Jack Ingram. And then I watched Jack Ingram and Sam Ard many times race against each other. Then we move over here. We have truck racing. Mike Skinner, you saw his trophy over there. Last year's champion is Ty Majeski from Wisconsin. I believe the best short track late model driver in America right now. We move on down, there's some different divisions. But did y'all come up Glory Road where the cars were on the banking? Some of you just got here the last moment. We'll see that on the tour. But if you look here, there's Red Byron again. These are the open wheel cars that I like, that I follow right here. But if you look on down from Red Byron, right down here, Jerry Cook. That is his number 38, the red car on the banking, the open wheel car on Dory Road. You go from Jerry Cook, then Richie Evans and Jerry Cook back and forth all the way down to here. So for 15 years, either one of the guys or the other from the same little town in Rome, New York, up in northern New York, won the championship. So Jerry Cook is still alive. He's in here on occasions. He walks on a walker, but a great, great driver. And then Richie Evans was killed at Martinsville racing. So anyway.
Well, mate, so welcome to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So I thought I'd show you guys a bit of a look around here. So as you can tell here, this is a half Toyota Camry, like what you see on the street, and a stock car of a NASCAR. So you can see the difference between an actual car and a race car. There you go, there's that, there's the steering wheels. I'll do it. Oh, it's the official pace car. Okay, that's fine. But there you go, there's the front of the car. And there's the side of one of the NASCARs. There you go, so there's the back. Excellent. And then here's the street side. So there you go. Over here is all the trophies. And that is the trophies from the NASCAR cars. I know some of them. I know Danica Patrick, who wasn't really that good of a NASCAR driver, to be honest. There's Tony Stewart. There you go. This is this. Is this the spottable? Yeah, this is where they check see what has gone. There you go. Trophies. The Daytona 500. These are like all the trophies. I was here when I was doing the time thing myself. There you go. Helmets on the NASCAR drivers. I don't know, that's Richard Petty. There you go. Excellent racing helmet, which is not really safe. But I don't know those ones. Here's another NASCAR car that you see here. A Ford Taurus of Matt Kenseth. There you go. And here is one of the old racing seats. This thing. Here are some old engines. There you go. And here is a half Pontiac Grand Prix. This side is of Richard Petty. While the other side is an actual Pontiac. There you go. And there's also the iRacing simulator, which I will be doing. So there you go. There you go. I'll show them. There's the big crashes. Damn! That was a good one. The old workshops. This is an old Chrysler. Which is kind of, it's tough, but that's awesome. Street it's tough because it's the same thing down front. Comes with the Petty's built too. There you go. And here is the old Moonshire car, which others do. Jimmy Johnson. Okay, mates, if you watch Cars 3, you know where this is probably from. So there you go. There you go. There's the front. Excellent. Cool. Alright, see you mates at the next thing. So I'm on a low level, mates, and look at this. There's a Lightning McQueen here.
Yeah.
Down here too is the simulator, which I will be doing later. Off camera, obviously. There you go. Here's the Ford stuff. You've got a Ford Clay model of the next gen cars. It's not the exact model, as they did upgrade the cars this year, but there you go. And here's a 21 Ford Mustang of what it would actually look like on the racetrack. There you go. That's what that looks like. It's a throwback scheme as well to something. There you go. Excellent. Here is a full-scale model you know, of a wind tunnel, which you can actually take this off and you can actually look at the wind flow and see what it does. So there you go, that's what that looks like. There you go, that's really, that's not connected at all. It basically helps the car flow, if that makes sense. And on this side here, you've got the engine, the transaxle and the actual Ford engine too. So these was made by a guy from one of the big racing teams who actually made the engine cool. And here is a chassis of the next gen. So there you go, that's what that looks like with the roll cage and everything. It's a mental. Over here is the Hall of Fame Polar. There's one of the cars up there. So they have two cars. They've got the backup car and the main car. And that makes sense. You can actually go inside actually, which that's what that looks like. That's what it looks like inside of a bird. Excellent. And it takes us to, there's the lounge. There we go. On this side. Excellent. I don't think I did this thing while I was doing the tour, which I didn't film, but it's this changing gear specs, by the way, so that's what it's doing. There's one of the race tracks down there, all the trophies that you can see. There's the qualifying stuff, which I will be doing before I do the actual race, so I can test out. So there you go. Trophies there, Shane Big Game Bisberg, because he's in it now. If you watch the VH, you know that he's in NASCAR. There you go. Here's the television stuff. So this is where you can actually, you could do your things. Oh, there you go. I won't do it now. There you go. You can call the race, director, the radio. Oh, and this is where you can also do there you go. So here we've got the NASCAR Hall of Fame blazer. So if you become a NASCAR Hall of Famer, you have to wear the blazer. If you make contributions to the sport. And here are the inductees of you. So 2010, you've got all the race car drivers, including Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, Junior Johnson, Bobby Allison, Ned. These are all the drivers, so I'm not mentioning every single one of them too. And here we've actually got the 3 inductees at the moment, all the 3 cars. So we've got Carl Edwards in the 99 Roush Racing car. 2005 he did the Busch Series, then he did the All-Star Race, and this is the 2000, and one of the cars. I've got the year number, but there you go. There you go, that's the actual car. This is a 1970 Ralph Moody car. There you go.
What makes a driver great?
That's David.
What did he accomplish?
Well, Ralph Moody owns the car. This is actually a David Pearson car, but it's owned by Ralph Moody. There you go, that's the car.
Pushing it always to the edge and trying to figure out where that's at.
This number 10 car is Ricky Rudd. I know this is Ricky Rudd's car because this is actually, during later his career, he actually became an owner driver. So this is actually known that he drove the car, but this is actually his car that he actually owns himself when he used to own it. And there's a story about him too. Not that long ago, in the 90s, he did a race at Martinsville, but it was so hot. This man not only beat the heat, but actually managed to complete all 500 laps and also win the race. I think he got actual like 3rd-degree burns in the end of it, but he still powered through. He was like the Iron Man. He even had a concussion too when he did that massive flip too. So I think that's something about Ricky Rudd. He's like the Iron Man, and there's his suits there. There you go. And he also drove for Richard Childress before he went to thing. And as you can look here, he went for Hendrick Motorsports too for a little while too. So there you go. I think it was like 23 wins, 23 wins in the Cup Series, I think. But there you go. That's Ricky Rudd for you.
shift up your right 5 times. You're going to follow that pace car for 2 laps, and then we'll go racing.
Lovely noises. Let's go. You just hit the fastest lap.
All right, when everyone's back in swall really quick, we give us a quick rundown, and then we'll get started. This track gets super deep. And I'll explain more of that in just a second. So how this works, we'll get you guys in. So step on this around certain engines. Really kind of get us at one time. And take your foot off and just wait a second. Just so that we can slow it up. Step 2. You pick this paddle shifter right here 5 times. Once they put paddle, use it. Press and slow.
Bring it home. One to go here. 24, 40, 9, 6.
Come on. Okay.
All right, drivers, please exit your car. This concludes your race. Your finishing order is out on the screen.
Where am I finished? Not on the top 10. Cool. Excellent. The guy was in there, definitely didn't crash so many times, mates. Oh well, that was bad. Just forgot to show you, mates, that this is the 800th win for Chevrolet. This is the Chase Elliott Hendrick Motorsports car. There you go. Excellent. Alright, see you, mates, at the next thing. So, mates, I'm up here on the banking here, and here are some cars. I'll give you a bit of history about them too. So we can start from the very top, actually. So let's do that then. Okay, so we've got the 47 car from a Canadian. This is actually part of the NASCAR Canadian series. It's actually the first ever international NASCAR to actually be put on here too, which is awesome. Here's the Josh Berry number 88 Junior Motorsports car, for a driver development series in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly series. So there you go. There's that one. There's the 18 Interstate Batteries Kyle Busch car. Remember when I saw the M&M's car? Yeah, they used to sponsor Kyle Busch before they left NASCAR. So there you go. Here's the 34 car of Wendell Scott. Well, it's not really Wendell Scott, it's Bubba Wallace, but it was a throwback to Wendell Scott, the first African-American driver to race in NASCAR and to win a race as well. There you go. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 88 car for Hendrick. There too. There's the 48 of Jimmy Johnson when he did the All-Star race. Two. Ah, there's a Toyota up there. Of course there is. All down there too is also the racetrack, so where they race. So there you go. I'll show you another angle here actually. That's actually a really good angle actually. I'm gonna take a photo of it, actually. On this side here, you've got the 37 Toyota Celsior. This was part of a weirder series in NASCAR. I guess it is a feeder series, but NASCAR used to have the Goodies Dash series, which was like a feeder series in NASCAR. And before Toyota went to the Cup series and all the big top tiers, they were in this lower series, and Robert Huffman won a championship in it. So that's something to mindful of. Before they went to the Truck series, they were in the Dash series, and now they're in Toyota. Now they're developed really well. So there you go. Now I'll have a look at the red car here, the one with the Sprint on it. This is Adam Petty's car. So Adam Petty is the grandson. Oh no, Adam Petty is the great-grandson of Lee Petty, grandson of Richard Petty, and the son of Kyle Petty. Unfortunately, during the 2000 season, I think at a Busch practice session in New Hampshire, he was involved in a really bad crash and he unfortunately succumbed to injuries. So, and this wasn't the car that was actually used. I don't think the original car exists, or if it does exist, it's been buried. But this was the car. But like I said, this was the car that, not the actual car that was used during the practice, obviously. But this was one of the cars that was used during a race. So there you go. But that's what it looked like. We've got the 50 of Greg Biffle in the Truck series, we're driving for Roush Racing. By the way, the 45 was also driven for the Petty series as well, so there you go. We've got the number 1 here, Pentel Chevy. It says driven by Darrell Waltrip, but technically it wasn't. The original driver, Steve Park, was involved in an accident in Atlanta when he was injured. So Darrell Waltrip had to replace him for a while to get his career back up. But now Steve Park has retired and Darrell Waltrip also has retired, but that's basically the car that was used. And you can tell the car's used because look, wheels popped. There's the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Here's the number 44 of Bobby Labonte. There you go. Here's the number 2 of Dale Earnhardt in a Pontiac. Yeah, but everyone thought he drives number 3 Chevy, but before that he drove a Pontiac. There you go. Here's the number 3 of Richard Childress, which what Dale Earnhardt went to, but this was actually Richard Childress when he used to drive in NASCAR. So there you go. Here's the 38 car of Jerry Cook in the modified series. This is the pre-modified series though, so before the modern era took over. So there you go. Here's the 43 of Richard Petty in his 1972 Dodge Charger. Not his Magnum, because I heard he didn't like the Magnum that much. But this is his Dodge Charger, there you go. Here's the 21 of Curtis Turner, driven by the Wood Brothers. There you go. And here is the number 2 of Austin Cindric in his number 2, which is the Daytona winning car too. And he was also won it as a rookie too, as you can tell. He's got the yellow stickers on. Down here is a Hendrick car, just to replicate the Hendrick Motorsports stuff. You can have a look at the inside too. There you go. There's the chassis being built. Well, that was one of the chassis being built. Fun fact about Hendrick, they were going to go out of business, but one of the drivers won a race, and they're still here today. They're the winningest NASCAR team ever. So there you go. Here is the championship winning car of Chase Elliott. This was the car that was actually used. You probably notice that it hasn't been refurbished or anything like that. Well, that's because Rick Hendrick doesn't like doing that, so he leaves the car as it is, which is amazing. It is actually really cool seeing a car like this. It's actually really, really cool. Here's Kyle Larson, after he won the champion. So they won back-to-back championship, 2020, 2021. There you go. This was his road course car because it's got the windshield, windscreen wipers. Over on this side, we've got the 2007 NASCAR Jimmy Johnson car when he won the championship. I think his second championship. Yeah, when Jimmy Johnson was just winning championships all the time. This was one of the car that he used. That was used. So there you go. And this car is a bit of a special car. This was the car that was in, if you watched the 24 Hours of Le Mans, especially the 2023 season, this was the car that was used. It was part of the Garage 56 entry. And this is the only car that actually has, you know, proper lights and not stickers. As you can tell, Jenson Button, Jimmy Johnson, and Mike Rockenfeller drove in it, and it's a good looking car. So there you go. And down here is a Jeff Gordon car. This is the 1997 Daytona 500 winning car. So there you go. Cool. Alrighty, mates, and I'll see you, mates, in the next thing. So here is the gift shop here. I just thought I'd just show you, mates, real quick. I've got 10 minutes I've got to film, just really quick. This might just be a quickie. But there you go. That's basically the shop here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Oh, I love it. I know some of you mates might not think NASCAR might not be a thing, and that's understandable. Like I said, I'm a massive race fan, so going to stuff like this is just really cool. I might do it again. Probably not NASCAR, but I'll definitely do something like at maybe the V8 or the F1 or whatever. Maybe the Motorsports Hall of Fame eventually. I'll do that, but you know, cool. That's the shop. Cool. So I'm at Rush Fenway, Keselowski. We're going to have a bit of a look around, so I'll see you mates inside then. Oh yeah.
We raced this car for over 5 years. They actually built it in 2001, and then they continued to race it all the way through the 2005 season. So yeah, we do reuse our stuff over and over. It's not like it's a one and done deal. He won a championship, his one and only championship in 2003. This is one of the cars that he raced during that championship run. It's actually part of that championship. Specifically, he did win a few times in Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas is what we call an intermediate track. It's a mile and a half. Charlotte, right here, that's an intermediate, another mile and a half track. Bristol is a half-mile track. That's considered a short track. And then, of course, you have somewhere like Sonoma, California. That's a road course, or Chicago, a road course. And then Talladega and Daytona, you're talking a big super speedway, 2 miles and more. So those are the 4 types of tracks that we run at. We built the car specific to the track. Yeah. Today's car, they're all the same, but we set it up specific to the track. What I mean by a setup is that we changed the ride heights, the then Busch Series, and then made it to second place in the Cup Series, I think multiple times. Never quite won that 3rd championship. This particular car was a race winner. He won out of Michigan International Speedway, and this was Ford's 1,000th victory as an organization. So that's why they have that. It's a special car.
How do stock cars drive and how do they start? Do you know about
A lot of different ways back in the old days, and still today. They start when they're literally 4 or 5 years old in a cart, and they start rating in carts, and then they go to the next level. They go to like bandoleros, and then they go to late models. And, you know, they kind of make their way up. Others will start much later, and they start maybe in an ARCA car, which is very similar to these stock models. Everybody's a little different. Then there's William Byron. Today is a way different era, way different time. William Byron actually started his career on a computer, on a simulator. No. Yes. Yes, he never, as a young boy, he never raced karts, he never did anything. He literally was playing a video game, and he was really, really good at it. This is the COT car. It is the car that you see in the picture. That's Matt Kenseth up there on the car. He just won the Daytona 500 in 2012. Daytona is our first race of the season, and it's our biggest, most glamorous race, and it is considered like our Super Bowl. And anytime a team wins that, they immortalize the car. It stays in Daytona for a year in their museum, and then after that, the team basically makes it a trophy. So they'll spend $150,000, $200,000 to build this car. It wins. It makes $1.5 million for the win, but then it just becomes a trophy. They'll take the motor out, they'll take some of the working parts out, but everything else on the car is basically finished. In this case, they did clean it off. Usually the confetti, they leave it on, but they did clean the confetti off. Now when we get around to the other side, you'll see another COT car, and you'll see the difference. Take a look at the nose, just take a picture, a mental picture in your mind, what that nose looks like. And then we'll get over to the other side, we'll look at the first year of the 5th generation. So just within 5 years, NASCAR had changed the design of the car, trying to figure out a way to make these cars more exciting to watch on the racetrack. Yeah. And it just never worked. So here's some of those motors you're looking at or asking about. You'll notice that you've got 800 horsepower. You got 850 over here, 900 horsepower. They've evolved and changed the motors a great deal over the years. NASCAR regulates a lot of things on these motors. There's certain things that they have to have and can't have. And we run different motors in different series. In the truck series and the Cup series, we run a fuel injection motor. Yes. So Texas Motor Speedway opened up in 1997. Jeff Burton was his first year as a Cup driver, and this car he raced at Texas and won that race. So it was his first win and the first win at Texas Motor Speedway. This is also a 4th generation car. It's a 97 Ford Thunderbird. If you look at the nose on this car, you may recognize that Thunderbird logo. So they're getting set up for an event, so just be careful. I mean, we are going through all this.
Oh, that's the arc.
Yeah, these obviously are crash cars. These are obviously crash cars. This is a more recent one. Obviously, this happened in 2022. Chris Buescher wrecked right here at Charlotte for the Coke 600. Ended up on his roof and tumbled a couple times. This is a composite body, so unlike that body, it's a sheet metal. This is it's like plastic. They make a composite material that is plastic. Now you get other exotic materials. The hood is actually made of carbon fiber, but the body is all plastic. So it's a little bit different, way different than these older cars, the older sheet metal cars.
So they were much heavier, right?
Well, no, actually not, because they just they adjusted the weight elsewhere on the car to make it still the same. So this car still weighs the same as those older Gen 4s, Gen 5s. It's just the weight is distributed different. No longer in the body. It's somewhere else in the car. This car over here is actually an ARCA series car. Now, ARCA, I haven't mentioned that. That is a completely different series than NASCAR. Back when ARCA started, it was a different governing body, but the cars were very similar, and they raced at a lot of the same tracks that we run in the Cup Series. So what happens is a new driver would come into a stable like Roush, and they needed to get experience, especially at the super speedways. NASCAR wouldn't let just anybody come run at Talladega or Daytona, so you would put them in an ARCA car. So Roush, back in their heyday, when they had all kinds of things going on here, they had an ARCA car too. So they would put their younger drivers in these cars for experience. At the time, his driver, he was a rookie driver. His name was Todd Cleaver, and he was racing at Daytona. And he got caught up into a wreck. Only 2 laps left, and the race was over. But he got wrecked and ended up wrecking and turning over about 5 or 6 times. Barrel roll down the backstretch. So that's what the car looked like after that. Now, he walked away from that. He was basically unharmed. and went on to continue to race in his career. Yeah, you can see that these cars came quite a bit when they're wrecked. That's just one big flat surface. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Now what happens when these cars are doing 180, 190 miles an hour, this flat surface, the air wants to get under there and lift it up, make it go airborne. So it's way different.
Completely different.
This is what all the old trucks and the old Cup cars used to look like, and still do. That car over there is way different because it has independent rear suspension. This one has this big axle. So you won't have this axle on this car. This car has this shock and this spring, separate pieces. That has a shock coilover. It's basically the same unit, it's all one unit to put together. This car has this long bar right here. That's called a track bar. If you ever watch a race, they're going to talk about track bar adjustments. That car does not have a track bar because it's independent rear suspension. You notice the wheels on that. You've got a 5 lug nut pattern on this car. That car has a single lug nut pattern. These are steel wheels, 15-inch. Those are 18-inch aluminum wheels. So everything about this 7th generation car is completely different, way different. These are trailing arms. You're not going to have that on this car over here. You got the exhaust system right here, dual exhaust. Comes out on one side. That has dual exhaust, but it comes out on both the right and left side. So, just everything about the car is different. Sheet metal body, plastic body over here. This chassis is all one unit. This chassis over here is a modular unit, has 3 different sections. So completely different. The idea behind this car was supposed to be cheaper. Cost over $300,000 to build that car.
Not cheaper.
No, not cheaper at all.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of cookies, fun stuff there. Got a push car right here. So Push Series is what's now known as the Xfinity Series. It's the second tier of racing. Mark Martin was a Push Series driver. He won over 60 races, and at the time had the record for the most wins in the Push Series. And then Kyle Busch came on the scene. Kyle Busch ended up having like over 102 wins in the Push Series right now. So he destroyed the driver. In shape or our particular position. Did you guys get a seat? Didn't win anything. The driver Chad Little never won any races in his career.
Yeah,
Cup
no.
Series. I'm not entirely sure why they have the car out here, but
I was wondering.
it's a favorite of somebody's. I don't know. I guess they like the color. Do you know that the color green for a lot of drivers is considered bad luck?
Maybe that's why.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why he didn't win any.
Yeah, it was superstition. A lot of drivers are superstitious about various things. I've heard things like peanuts. They don't want any peanuts at the track, in their cars or in their haulers. No green on their cars, anything. But if you have a sponsor like John Deere,
Yeah.
They agree.
You gotta go green,
I think you gotta go green, right?
Yeah.
Was he still looking? No, he wasn't there.
Yeah, no, Dodge used to be in it, and then way back in the old days, they had all kinds of. So remember that other car? I told you to take a mental picture of the nose. Look at this one. You can see how different this one is. This was the first year of the 5th generation.
Ah, yeah.
So it was way different. For whatever reason, they just came up with this design, and then there's this funky spoiler on the back end of the car back there. Yeah, it just never panned out. The car wasn't raced well. It didn't perform on the track well. They couldn't pass. The drivers especially hated it.
I'm still not a very big fan of these things. I can't stand to drive them. They suck.
On national TV.
Yeah, he hated
how bad
it.
was. So yeah, NASCAR didn't like that. But eventually they had to get rid of the car.
This thing made it also more airborne as well. Yeah. For a more safer car, it made it more airborne.
I think the ones to decide what usability.
Alrighty mates, we made it to Trackhouse Racing, so let's go have a look inside then. Oh yeah. So welcome to the Trackhouse. As you can tell, we've got a Trans Am car by Justin Marks, which was also used in the 24 Hours of Daytona. Some old pieces of NASCAR here, some bikes. And here's this car here, the one car of Ross Chastain. There was a very viral moment where the Ross Chastain car actually rode at the War of Martinsville, and this is the exact car that did it, as you can tell from the scratch there. And if you look on the other side too, you can see where the car hit the wall, hit this wall, and it just skidded. So there you go. That's what it looks like on the inside. We'll see on the inside in a bit.
Not the victory, but he was on the last lap at Martinsville.
Oh, is that the one that did the wall
The
ride?
wall, yeah.
That's what it looks like on the inside. Cool.
You have shop guys, you have shop crew / road crew guys. Basically, a lot of the people that you see here are shop guys. They work in the shop 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. And their job is just to build these cars and get them ready to race. The cars that we're looking at directly in front of us, these cars are getting ready to race in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So they're always working about 2 to 3 weeks out, especially these bigger teams. They have enough people to do that.
Can be working at the shop and also they
go on the road.
On the road.
Yeah, they split time between the road and the shop. But then most of the guys you see here are full-time shop guys. Because
Lá o motor, que ele é motor.
production engine. Toyota's a little different. They had to kind of design the engine when they got into the sport because they didn't really have a sedan package. There are aspects of it. I mean, it's way beyond what it was back in the old days. Yeah, it truly was just kind of a real production engine. Most of that engine is designed and worked on internally in the okay. And they work with major. Yeah, you're working out, you get sore muscles and things like that. Yeah. It's all right here, it's all part of that. Teams had to kind of jockey around to find new deals to get their machines running again and keep their people employed. So Hendrick ended up getting some partnership with the military, and he makes military parts now. So they kind of limit the access of where the fans can go here on the campus. But over here to the left, you've got two buildings. You've got the 9 and the 5 and the 24 and the 48. These are the quote-unquote race shops. This is where they set the cars up. Inside they have paint booths, they have fab shops, a bunch of different things. They're able to work on the cars inside there. Over to the far right, up on the hill, that is the Exalta building. Exalta's been a sponsor of Hendrick Motorsports now for 30 years or better, 30 years. You may recall them as being known as DuPont. They were on Jeff Gordon's car for 9 years. Yeah. So that is called the Customer Experience Center, and that's strictly an Exalta building. So it's not a Hendrick building. Their sponsor's been with them for so long, they went ahead and built their own building here on the campus. As you get around the corner, you see a building directly in front of us, right over there. You see this hauler, they're backing it up. Get here to the stop sign. So you see the little building right here on the edge, 2 garage doors. That is the original race shop right there.
Wow.
So when he built this team, they started from that little building right there. Nothing else was out here.
How long ago?
1982.
82.
Okay. 5 employees. Today there's over 650 employees here today. And if you look far to the left, you'll see some brand new buildings. Those are some of the new buildings that they built for the military contracts. So they're building a lot of different things up there. We turn the corner, you'll see a little athletic area. This is the strength and agility course for the pit athletes. So after they're done practicing, they have to come over here and they do some of their strength and agility practice. Administration here to the left. To the far right, the Hendrick Performance Building. That is Rick Hendrick's private museum. He houses over 200 cars in there, all of them very custom. Some of them are even, looks like they're doing a lot of construction back here. I don't know if we're going to be able to get back there or not. A lot of the cars in there are Corvettes. Many of them are the very first ones assembled off of the line. What they call VIN number 1. He'll get them at auction, and he usually pays millions of dollars for these cars. The last one he just bought, he paid $3.2 million for his car. But all that money went to charity, so that's kind of the deal. The buildings back here, you've got carbon fiber division here in the back. And then these two buildings are part of their machine shop and their engine shops. So they build engines for a lot of the other teams. Build a lot of parts in here too. He's also partnered up with Dale Jr. So they build their chassis here for Dale Jr. in his Xfinity series and provide motors for him as well. So normally I'd take you through there, but that looks like a construction entrance, and they're obviously redoing a bunch of stuff. Let me see if I can go around a different direction. This is all pretty new, but the pit department is back there. I don't know if we can. Don't know if I can get back there or not. Let's just check this out. Over here to the side is the team center. This is just a kind of an open space building for sponsorship meetings, for company luncheons, different things like that. Yeah, wow. So this used to be their chassis department here. Obviously they are tearing it apart, putting something new in. Yeah, and they are doing some pit practice.
Oh, cool.
Here we go.
Wow.
So, I'm gonna park over here. And we can walk out there and get up there on the bench and take a look at the guys practice there.
right, let's go head to the Hendrick Museum. So let's have a look.
Yeah, so what we have here are just a number of cars that they've raced with over the years. Like I said, they started this team in 1982, and it's been racing ever since. In fact, come over here, this guy. This is one of the first cars that they raced with back in those days. This is a third generation NASCAR, Generation 3. At the time when Rick Hendrick started this team, he didn't have a driver or a sponsor, so he was out looking for different things, and he made a handshake deal with Richard Petty, who is now the king of stock car. And Richard was at the tail end of his career, and he said that he would come race for him. So he had to go out and find a sponsor. So he did. He found a sponsor, a little company called Gambler Chassis Company. Well, that company was actually owned by none other than the country western singer Kenny Rogers. Have you ever heard the movie The Gambler?
Yeah.
Or the song in the movie The Gambler? Well, that was his company. So Rick was pretty excited. He had The Gambler as a sponsor, and he had Richard Petty as his driver. So he called his team, named his team All-Star Racing. So you look on the back of this car, that was the name of his team when he first started. Now what ended up happening with Richard, something fell through with his contract and he ended up racing for somebody else. But he ended up getting Jeffrey Bodine, kept the name All-Star Racing anyway. So they raced for the first couple of years and they struggled in the beginning. In fact, Jeffrey Bodine at the time raced and competed a lot with Dale Earnhardt, and they wrecked each other a lot. So if you ever saw the movie Days of Thunder, those characters were based loosely off of Jeffrey Bodine and Dale Earnhardt Sr. They got to the point where they were wrecking so much that Rick was afraid that was going to start taking money from his dealership and he would have to close his dealership. So he was ready to shut the whole operation down and said, no more racing. And they had convinced him to race one more time because they had the car ready. Lo and behold, they go out there and race at Martinsville, and Bodine wins the race. So that gave them a little bit more money. So they raced again, and they kept winning. And then all of a sudden, they got a sponsor, a big-time sponsor. So the money started pouring in. So just like that, I mean, they were this close to completely shutting down the operation. Now today, they're the winningest operation in NASCAR. They've got 316 Cup victories with, 8 or 9 championships. I haven't counted that. More than that, probably more like 12 or 14 championships. So they win a lot. So that picture all the way over there on the wall, that's Rick Hendrick. So today, he still owns the operation, obviously, but Jeff Gordon is more of the day-to-day operational guy. Rick maintains his leadership and does a lot of work with all that.
Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon.
That was a driver.
He was the driver, yeah. He won 4 championships. And then, of course, Jimmy came along and he won 7 championships. So just between the two of them, there's 11 championships. So as you walk through the facility, you'll see each car has a little placard, and it just gives you information about each car. I mean, I'm going to walk along and I'll talk a little bit about each car, but you can go at your own leisure and your own pace. And then, of course, they have a little gift shop in the middle. You can go in there and do a little shopping.
Perfect.
If you see anything, you have a question, just ask. You're going to see different generations of cars. As I mentioned, these are 3s. We've got 6s right over here. These are 6s. This here.
Yeah, they did.
5th generation. 2 in a row of 6th generation. Now this one, as you can see, all the confetti. Dale Jr. won the 500 in the car. They left it just as is after the race. So that's why it's all dusty and confetti everywhere. But you can see, you kind of got into some scuffling out on the racetrack, rubbing on the wall and different things like that. passed away in an airplane crash.
Have I told something about the airplane crash? We're going to come up to that.
Right. So,
Yeah, both of these go.
all those people were on an airplane going to the race in the month. Now, this car, guys, if you do something, come stand right back here, and I want you to look at this car, and you're gonna see how odd shaped it is.
Yes.
You see how the hood and the roof line and different things are kind of going in different directions?
And this side looks like it's more close to, yeah, like.
So this is the era of the Gen 4 where they actually built the cars more like this. Instead of straight, they
Yeah.
built like this because we do a lot of left turns. This is one of the reasons why NASCAR eventually changed this era, because teams that have more money and more engineering staff members could come up with these designs that the rules didn't say them otherwise. So they really built some pretty radical cars. And it looked nothing like an actual Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
No.
Had nothing to do with the concept. But that's a great example of what this car looked like back then. That's neat kind of being in this shop because they do have some other non-NASCAR type cars. I don't know a whole lot about them other than what they have right here on the plaques. But apparently this man, Ray Hendrick,
Oh, yeah,
has
no.
no relationship to Rick Hendrick.
No.
He's the reason that Rick got involved in racing. He was just a huge fan of his.
I think he was actually a pit crew member as well for the
Was he?
team. Yeah, I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, and he just was a big fan of his and followed him. This guy won a lot back in the old days, and that's what kind of drove Rick into pursuing his career in motorsports. So he kind of pays tribute to him.
Who's that? Yeah.
That's Rick when he was younger. Yeah. So up here on the board, these are pictures of when they filmed. So the movie Days of Thunder, they filmed it here in Charlotte.
Wow.
You see Tom Cruise.
And what's this movie? It's super fun.
Rick's organization built a lot of the cars that were in that race.
Yeah, he would.
He was one of the cars that was used in the movie.
Sorry.
And again, you look
No,
on
no,
the
you can
sponsor
talk,
here,
it's fine.
City Chevrolet. That
I'm
was
sending
an
photos from him.
actual dealership. Kind of updated in 1990.
That's the movie car that was
that's
used,
the movie car.
that actually raced as well.
Wow.
There's another Daytona winner right there.
I think
You
I
can see
s-
some of the tear-offs on the windshield.
Yeah.
See how they're
Yes.
lipped on each one. So each time they come into pit, you can just tear one off, and then the windshield's nice and clean. Back in the old days, they would just have a guy get out there with a rag and water.
Imagine
Just
that
wipe
one.
it clean like that. That kind of money.
No, like go on this track.
Yeah, like a dirt track or a go-kart. I've done it a few times, yeah. Definitely, it's a lot of fun. I did do some racing experiences. They have folks where you can pay and they pay to.
Oh, this is a race.
That's my extent of racing. So see, there's a video. Keep in mind, they were doing about probably close to 200 miles an hour. So the movie Transformers 3.
Oh.
That car was used in that movie. They kind of did a futuristic build for the car. So there's an interesting story behind this one right here. They call it the T-Rex car.
Yeah, this is the car that dominated the All-Star race so good that it made it illegal.
There you go. So yeah, Ray Evernham built this car, and yeah, what they had done, they built a new chassis for the All-Star race, and Jeff goes out there and completely dominates the field. Yeah, blows them away. So after the race, NASCAR inspected the car. What they had done to the car, according to the rules at the time, was not illegal. But they were just so far advanced and ahead of everybody else that NASCAR was so afraid that they would dominate. They actually made the car illegal after the race. They gave them win, gave them the money.
I've seen the original. This is the one of the this is not the actual car that we saw 2 days ago, but this is the limited edition cars that you can buy.
Oh, that you can buy. So he's one of the 50 that he made or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they actually? Is this Jimmy Johnson? Do they have the? Yeah, they do. Yes. This was Jimmy Johnson's final ride at Hendrick before he left.
Guys, I have good news for you all.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
How's it going? That is where we originally built chassis, and then where we built military chassis, and now with that big.
Alright mates, so we're at 2311, a NASCAR team by NASCAR legend Denny Hamlin and basketball legend Michael Jordan. So I'll see you mates on the inside then. Oh yeah.
This is from last year, 2024 Talladega win.
Yeah.
So this is one of their first races that they won with the Gen 7. And then back here, Bubba Wallace won in that car. That's a Gen 6, also at Talladega. So they kind of got the super speedways figured out. Since then, even though this team's only been in existence for, I think this is their 4th year. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They have 10, 11 wins already.
In 4 years.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I mean, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A new organization, new team. It's tough to win. We're gonna go upstairs around the corner, so you get a much better view of this. But this gives you at least the eye view over here, ground floor view. You can't see some of the colors. No. So this is actually a really good time to be here at this shop, just because they're getting the car set up for this weekend. The plates that you see down there, those are the silver plates that are embedded in the concrete. Those are actually called surface plates, and they're perfectly flat and level. So when they have the car sitting on top of them, they can take accurate measurements of the car. They're also going to scale or weigh the car. NASCAR has a certain amount of weight that the car has to be, and the weight has to be correct the car at various percentages, right, front, left, and rear. So they give them a window, then the teams, based on how they think the car is going to react, what kind of tire good you're bringing.
Alright
Alright then mates, as you can probably tell here, we have made it to J Gibbs Racing. However, this is future Lightning Doyle speaking to you. So unfortunately, whilst I was recording this, I apparently recorded it in slow motion, so it removed the audio entirely. The videos looks fine at the moment, as you can probably tell, but I thought I'd give you some commentary about what this is basically about. So as you can tell, this is one of the NASCAR cars here. I forgot the name of the driver who drove it, and this is the number 19 Xfinity car. It's probably by one of the driver development teams. Anyways, this car's made out of like some weird sheet metal bit on it. It's got like some weird stuff on it too. It's a bit interesting. I've never actually seen that on a car before. As you know, when you saw the first thing, one of the next gen cars was made out of plastic. This isn't, but it's like very tough and it actually looks nice. I don't know about the truck series though, but this looks really cool actually. I really do really like it. Anyways, I'm gonna go let the guy and put some music in the background so you can basically have a look. I might even speed up a little bit just so you can actually get some more consistency in it so you can still see anyways without cutting this whole bit up. So, yeah. Alright, mate, so enjoy the rest of the clip then. Oh, yeah.
So you're getting to see a lot more here at this shop than what we've seen up to this point. Trackhouse was kind of cool, but we're ground level. We didn't get to see a lot. And then, of course, that last at 2311, you just saw the setup plate. Here, you're actually getting to see the assemble side. The cars that you see here in front of us, these are the cars that we're getting ready for Charlotte and then Martinsville in the next 2 or 3 weeks. You notice that they have sheets of paper literally taped to the car. Those are build sheets. It has a list of everything that needs to be done while it's right here. So the assemblers, when they're finished, they will literally sign next to that line item. So there's accountability. They know exactly everything's been done and who had done it. All the teams do this. This is just an older version of how they do it. They literally tape it right to the car. Now, where do all these parts and pieces come from? I showed you that sheet of paper where you buy them, but some of these parts come in and they need to be assembled, put together. So there's a lot of sub shops within this shop. If you look straight ahead, the little offices are little tiny sub shops over there and here, and even over here to the left. This is some of your sub shops. So they put together all the parts and pieces, they roll it out here to the car, and then the assemblers, this guy who's having his lunch right now at his toolbox, they end up putting it on the car. So you were asking me earlier, somebody's asking me earlier about the oil, dry sump motors, all right? Well, look at those tubes, those like torpedo looking tubes. Those are the oil cells. That's what the oil cell actually looks like. So they will eventually install it inside. They put it together over here, depending on the track and how they want it configured. And then they bring it out and these guys will assemble, put it inside the car. They've got the front end suspension, you see on those little roller carts. They build them over there, roll them out here, and these guys will put them on the car. Once these cars get to a certain point of that build and they're getting ready to race, then they ship them down over to that side. And you notice those silver plates, those surface plates on the concrete floor. That's their plates, that's their setups. So the cars that they're looking at right there in front, those are the cars that are racing this weekend. When they're done, they just roll it right through those garage doors, and the haulers are parked on the other side of the wall. So that gives you an idea how big this race shop is. You've got 4 18-wheelers just parked right over on the other side of those garage doors.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Now, if you lean up against the window and you look past those garage doors, you'll see how much farther the shop goes down that way. It goes a long way down. And then, of course, on this side over here, this wall continues that way. So, yeah, this is a big shop. And guess what? It's not even the biggest out there. You know, Penske probably has the largest single shop out there.
Do they paint the cars or they put?
So today, they no longer paint their cars. NASCAR, it's a rule, they have to actually wrap them. It's just one big decal. Well, not one, but there's multiple sides, but they're decals. And they have their own graphics department here on site. They print everything off. They've got a group of individuals that walk around and they just literally wrap all the cars. But they'll do that near the end. At this point, they wait. They don't want to.
The car is almost ready.
Yeah, it'll probably take 2.5 hours to wrap the whole car. Pretty cool. Pretty good. Those wraps are expensive, you know, even though they no longer allow equipment, the front clip and the rear clip. And you notice here, let's see if we got an example. Well, they're all basically together. But if we're looking at this third one in, you see where the driver sits, just come back a few feet and you see where those mount points are. There's 4 mount points and then 4 nuts and bolts on each mount point. That whole back section is the rear clip. So you take 16 bolts off of there and that whole component comes right off. It's really easy. And it's the same on the front. So if they're at the racetrack and maybe they hit the wall, they screw up the bumper or the rear end, they can just take that whole back section off and put a new one on right at the racetrack. The old days, you'd hold out your backup car. I mean, we still take a backup car because we could destroy that in practice. But now you can sometimes just take a portion of it and take it off and redo it.
One eternity later.
Alrighty then mates, well this is basically the end of this video. I forgot to do an outro at North Carolina, mainly because we had to get on a plane real quickly back to Melbourne, Australia, which will be the next video after this. There's actually 2 more videos left, which are actually going to be bonuses. I'm thinking about uploading them before the finale. So these are like 2 bonus videos, which I didn't really get a chance to film that much, so you'll see 2 of them coming out after this one, so that makes sense. But like I said, I'm back home in Australia, but again, this is just bonus line into 21 speaking, so yeah. Anyway mates, thank you for watching this NASCAR video, and the tour, and the Hall of Fame. I thought that was really excellent. That was amazing. Like, I'd never been to those places before. I genuinely loved all of it. It was amazing. But until then mates, I'm gonna end the video here, so thank you mates for watching, and I'll see you mates with the 2 bonus videos, and then the finale. Back to Australia. Oh yeah. Alright, peace out mates.
What?